Hello, welcome. Today we're talking about the 4 universal thinking skills that Derek Cabrera focuses on to become a better thinker. The 4 are distinctions, systems, relationships, and perspectives. Makenzie Reynolds illustrates the first universal skill, the distinction between ideas, objects, and things. Distinctions. Creating distinctions between ideas, objects, and things is the first step to becoming a better thinker. How? By creating definitions. Creating definitions helps understand what something really is. Creating these definitions promotes active thinking. We create definitions by 3 steps. First, we have to define if it's an object, an idea, or something else. Second, what makes it this instead of the others? Third, what kind of space does it occupy in the world because of this classification? What then? Further examine and explain ideas, objects, and things and expand on your knowledge of how they interact with the world. This is how we create thinkers, by asking people to create definitions and define the interactions that follow these definitions. Makenzie Reynolds illustrates distinctions between ideas, objects, and things. This by making definitions in 3 steps. You have to know what it is, you have to know what makes it, and what kind of space it occupies. Then you have to examine and explain the ideas and objects or things. This is how you become a better thinker, by making the distinction between all these 3. Kalichi talks about the second universal thinking skill, which is parts and wholes that make up a system. Systems. So what happens when a student cannot learn well from a teacher and vice versa? We often assume that students can process information the same way. So what happens to those students that slip through the cracks? To become a great thinker, you must be able to know the parts and the wholes of a system. A great way to solve a large problem is to look at individual pieces. For example, a gear shift system. Like a gear shift, many students have many pieces that fit together, and some require additional instructions to find where that piece belongs. One of the greatest ways to understand how parts and wholes make up a system is to talk to other students around you and learn together. Whatever happened to the idea of allowing students to learn from one another, regardless of the learning comprehension level? In the past, special education often segregated students with disabilities for the purpose of specialized instruction. By removing a piece of the gear from the whole, the system will not function correctly. Students come from many different backgrounds, but forming a bond with another classmate, the learning process /curve and stress is greatly reduced both on the teacher and the class cohesion.
The idea is to incorporate more of the faster learning students into the classroom to facilitate learning from not only the teacher's point of view, but from other students who are struggling, may need another student to help them catch up, all while explaining the lesson concept in a different way from a different perspective.
Kalichi pointed out that students can learn from one another. By learning the parts and the whole of a system, a student can expand their thinking. One of the solutions for a student to be able to have this skill is that students can learn from one another. This can facilitate the recognition of the parts and develop the concept of the whole system, just like a gear shift system. James Boswell talks about the third universal thinking skill, which is to recognize relationships between and among ideas.
Relationships are vital for thinking and for knowing how to communicate well. Relationships are the epitome of the ability to think, to critically think, and to analyze. with that comes listening, and listening is the avenue in which we do communicate. If you don't understand what the person is saying by listening to them and can't look objectively at the things that we want to establish, relationships don't work, communication fails, as well as your ability to critically think. We must think outside the box, but to do so we have to communicate and understand that we all come from different backgrounds, and to establish a relationship that's to work too well together and to critically think and to get along makes us all different, but also makes us all together. And it's the relationships to build each other up.
Samuel Valerio has the fourth universal thinking skill and talks about taking multiple perspectives. Sometimes we think of different perspectives and assume that it's just being diverse. However, even people who are the same have different viewpoints and tastes. A great example we could use for perspectives is food. This because food comes as a source of pride for many cultures. The French take huge pride in the cuisine. Here in Texas, we love our barbecue. Liking a certain dish is a matter of opinion. This is a certain perspective that many don't think about. Each of these meals are quite different. They offer a unique story on how they became staples of their culture. Learn about them, try them, and you might like something you never thought you could. It's important to point out that difference in cultures creates difference in perspective. Each offer a unique story, just like the food. Just like the diversity of food in different cultures. To become a better thinker, you must be able to take different perspectives without being biased. Look at different viewpoints of people and understand where they come from. These are the four thinking skills. Makenzie Reynolds talked about distinctions and how to make definitions of objects, ideas, or things. Kelechi N. talked about systems and how to break down a gear into smaller pieces. James Boswell talked about relationships and how to listen and relate ideas through communication. Samuel Valerio talked about perspectives and to be able to understand differences in opinion and customs. And my name's Orlando. Thanks for watching.